The corner office of Morris Technologies had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown, expensive artwork on the walls, and today my Uncle Marcus's condescending smirk as he watched me empty his trash bin. "Sophia's here to tidy up before the investors arrive," he announced to his son, my cousin David, who barely glanced up from his phone. "We can't have the place looking shabby for Summit Capital, can we?" I kept my face neutral as I collected the coffee cups and straightened the magazines on his desk. If only they knew that Summit Capital was actually my company, and I was here for more than just their garbage. Let me explain. I'm Sophia Reyes, and to my family, I'm nothing more than the night cleaning staff at their precious tech company. But there's so much more to the story. 10 years ago, when my father passed away, my Uncle Marcus swooped in and took control of the family business. He convinced my mother that she couldn't possibly handle running a technology company as a widow with a teenage daughter. He offered to help manage things until I was old enough to take over. That help turned into a hostile takeover. Within months, he had restructured the company, diluted our shares, and pushed us out completely. My mother was devastated. The company my father had built from nothing was suddenly in the hands of a man who had always been jealous of his younger brother's success. "It's better this way," my uncle told us, writing a pathetically small buyout check. "Women aren't cut out for the tech world anyway." I was 16 then, watching my mother cry as she signed away our legacy. But I made a promise to myself that day: I would prove him wrong. I worked through high school and college, cleaning offices at night while studying business and computer science during the day. My uncle, in his arrogance, had actually given me the perfect cover. As a cleaner, I was invisible. No one paid attention to me. No one wondered why I was there after hours or what I might be seeing or hearing. When I graduated with my MBA at 24, I used my savings and my knowledge of the tech industry to start an investment firm. I named it Summit Capital, after the street where my father started his first company. Through careful planning and strategic investments, I grew it into one of the most successful venture capital firms in the city. Not that my family knew any of this. To them, I was still just Sophia the cleaner, the failure, the cautionary tale they whispered about at family gatherings. "Look at Sophia," they'd say. "This is what happens when you don't have a man to guide you in business." I let them talk. Let them believe what they wanted. Because I knew something they didn't. Morris Technologies was in trouble. Big trouble. My uncle's mismanagement had run the company into the ground. Their technology was outdated, their market share was shrinking, and they were desperately seeking investors to stay afloat. That's why they'd reached out to Summit Capital, not knowing they were actually reaching out to me. For 6 months, I'd been gathering intelligence during my cleaning shifts. I saw the fake numbers they prepared for investors. I found the documents showing millions in hidden debt. I watched my uncle and cousin take expensive vacations while laying off dedicated employees. And now here I was, emptying their trash one last time before the big investment meeting. "Sophia," my uncle called out as I headed for the door. "Make sure you really scrub the conference room. We have important people coming." I nodded meekly. "Yes, Uncle Marcus." "And Sophia?" He didn't even look up from his desk. "We're something less noticeable during the meeting. We don't want the investors to see the help." I closed the door quietly behind me, smiling to myself. In my locker downstairs was a Saint Laurent suit and Louboutin heels that cost more than my uncle's monthly salary. In my briefcase was paperwork showing exactly how much trouble Morris Technologies was in, and how easily Summit Capital could take control. My phone buzzed, a text from my assistant. "Car's ready whenever you are, Ms. Reyes. Summit Capital's board is assembled for the meeting." Another message followed. "Your mother's private jet just landed. She's excited to see the look on Marcus's face." Yes, my mother knew everything. Had known for years. We'd been planning this together, waiting for the perfect moment. She had learned to play the grieving widow, making the family believe she was broken and helpless. In reality, she was a silent partner in Summit Capital, enjoying every minute of our long game. I looked at my reflection in the office window, still wearing my cleaner's uniform. In 2 hours, I would return in my true identity, Sophia Reyes, CEO of Summit Capital, here to decide the fate of Morris Technologies. My uncle's words from 10 years ago echoed in my head. Women aren't cut out for the tech world. I straightened a picture on his wall, one showing him at the company's peak, grinning like he'd built it himself instead of stealing it from his brother's family. "We'll see about that, Uncle Marcus," I whispered. "We'll see about that." 2 hours later, I stood in the lobby bathroom of Morris Technologies, transformation complete. The cleaner's uniform was tucked away in my designer bag, replaced by a perfectly tailored black Saint Laurent suit. My hair, earlier hidden under a cleaning cap, now fell in elegant waves past my shoulders. The nervous, meek Sophia was gone. In the mirror stood the CEO of Summit Capital, worth more than this entire building. My phone buzzed with a message from my mother. In position in the waiting area. Marcus just walked right past me without a glance. Ready when you are, sweetheart. I smiled, applying one final coat of red lipstick. My mother had played her part perfectly these past 10 years, convincing the family she was a helpless widow too broken to function in business. They never questioned why she always seemed to have money, attributing it to good investments made by her financial advisor, who was, of course, me. The conference room was already full when I arrived. Through the glass walls, I could see my Uncle Marcus at the head of the table, gesturing grandly to his audience of board members and executives. My cousin David sat at his right hand, still glued to his phone. They were all there, every family member who had helped push us out, who had belittled us, who had treated me like invisible help for the past decade. I checked my watch. Right on time. The receptionist, who just an hour ago had watched me mop the lobby, did a double take as I approached. I'm here for the Summit Capital meeting, I said smoothly, enjoying her confusion. Of course, she stammered. They're expecting Summit CEO. That's me. I handed her my business card. Her eyes widened as she read it. Inside the conference room, my uncle was in full performance mode. Summit Capital will be lucky to partner with us, he was saying. Morris Technologies is on the cutting edge of dash. He stopped mid-sentence as I walked in, his expression flickering with annoyance at the interruption. Then confusion as he tried to place my familiar face in unfamiliar clothing. I'm sorry, he said sharply, this is a private meeting. Sophia must have forgotten to put up the do not disturb sign dash. Actually, I cut in, my voice carrying clearly across the room, I'm right where I need to be. I pulled out my business card and slid it across the polished table. Sophia Reyes, CEO of Summit Capital. Shall we begin? The silence that followed was deafening. My uncle's face went from red to white to red again. David actually dropped his phone. Around the table, board members shifted uncomfortably, several of them already connecting the dots. This is some kind of joke, Marcus sputtered. You're the cleaning staff. No, Uncle Marcus, I smiled, taking the seat opposite him. I'm the CEO of the investment firm you've been desperately courting for the past 6 months. Though I have been gathering quite a bit of interesting information during my evening cleaning shifts. I opened my briefcase and began laying out documents. For instance, these falsified financial reports you've been preparing for investors. And these records of undisclosed debt. Oh, and my personal favorite, documentation of how you illegally pushed my mother and me out of my father's company 10 years ago. The blood drained from his face. You can't prove dash. Actually, I can. I nodded toward the door where my mother now stood, elegant and poised. Hello, Mother. Perfect timing as always. She walked in, placing a thick folder on the table. Marcus, you really should have checked who bought those worthless shares you convinced me to sell a decade ago. Summit Capital has been a majority shareholder for quite some time now. David jumped to his feet. This is ridiculous. She's nobody. She cleans offices. Correction, I said calmly. I own the cleaning company that contracted with Morris Technologies. Just like I own the venture capital firm you're begging for money. Just like I now own controlling interest in this company. I pressed a button on my phone and the room's presentation screen lit up with Summit Capital's portfolio, billions in assets, hundreds of successful investments, and now majority ownership of Morris Technologies. You see, Uncle Marcus, while you were busy telling everyone that women aren't cut out for the tech world, I was building an empire. Every time you saw me cleaning your office, I was actually conducting due diligence. Every time you walked past me like I was invisible, I was evaluating your company's weaknesses. I stood up, enjoying the way he seemed to shrink in his chair. And now, I own everything you stole from us. The company my father built. The legacy you tried to erase. All of it. You can't do this, he whispered. We're family. Family. My mother's laugh was cold. Was it family when you manipulated me while I was grieving? When you pushed your brother's wife and daughter out of their own company? I pressed another button on my phone and security entered the room. "These gentlemen will escort you to clear out your office, Uncle Marcus." "You do, David. As of this moment, you're both terminated." "You're firing us?" David's voice cracked. "No," I corrected him. "I'm taking back what's mine." Although, I pretended to consider for a moment. "We do have some openings in the maintenance department. After all, someone needs to clean the offices." Marcus lunged forward, his face purple with rage. "You little dash." "Careful, Uncle Marcus." I cut him off. "Security is watching. And unlike you, they actually work for me." As they were let out, I turned to the shell-shocked board members. "Now, shall we discuss the future of Morris Technologies? I have some exciting plans for modernization." The meeting that followed was one of the most satisfying hours of my life. I outlined my vision for the company: innovation, growth, and most importantly, ethical leadership. By the end, even the most skeptical board members were convinced. Later that evening, I sat in what had been my uncle's office, my father's office before that, looking at the city lights. My mother joined me, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "Your father would be so proud," she said softly. I took a glass, thinking of the long game we'd played. "Do you think 10 years of cleaning offices was too petty?" She laughed. "Darling, you built a billion-dollar company while letting them think you were nothing. That's not petty, that's brilliant." My phone buzzed with messages from family members who had just heard the news. "Uncle Marcus, you've destroyed this family." "David, you can't do this to us." Various cousins, "We never knew, we're so sorry." I blocked them all with one click. "What now?" my mother asked. I picked up my father's old nameplate, which I'd found in a storage room. "Now we rebuild. The right way." Security called up. They'd found Marcus trying to delete files from the company server. I smiled, remembering how I'd backed everything up months ago. "Should we press charges?" the head of security asked. "No," I decided. "Let him go. He's lost everything already: the company, his reputation, his pride. And tomorrow, when the press releases go out announcing Summit Capital's acquisition of Morris Technologies and my return as CEO, he'll lose the last thing he has left, the illusion that he ever had any real power." I looked at my reflection in the window, remembering all the nights I'd spent cleaning these same windows, watching, waiting, planning. "You know what the best part is, Mother? He spent 10 years looking right through me, never realizing that the person he thought was nothing was actually becoming everything." Sometimes the best revenge isn't just taking back what's yours, it's letting your enemies watch as you succeed beyond their wildest dreams. Sometimes it's about proving that the person they underestimated, the one they pushed aside and looked down on, was actually the architect of their downfall. And sometimes the sweetest victory comes not from cleaning offices, but from owning the entire building they're in. I raised my glass to the city skyline, to 10 years of patience, to the perfect revenge that wasn't just about getting even, it was about getting everything. To cleaning up the family business, I toasted. Permanently.